welcome to another video. Today is day 15, countdown to Christmas diamond painting style. I am still working on my Add More Zest, and this is from Diamond Art Studio UK. I'm using my same pen I've been using, my Bistro Blanks, as well as I will be using the same containers, of course, and then the same tray. So let's go ahead and get started with day 15. If you are new, welcome. So glad you found my channel. If you are not new, welcome back. You know how much I appreciate you guys, or at least I hope that you know how much I appreciate you. I'm gonna go ahead and start with this one color. I already had it in my tray, so I thought I'd go ahead and just start with the light blue. I hope everybody is doing well and you are starting to get prepared for Christmas and that you are not stressed out. I know this time of year really stresses me out sometimes. It's my favorite time of year, but it seems like from October until the end of the year, everything just happens. Time just flies. I never have enough time to get what I need done. I mean, I don't even have little kids. I don't have grandkids yet. I don't have to deal with, any little kids buying anything, but it still is crazy. And my kids no longer have any, after school activities because my oldest is 24, so she is in college, and my youngest is 21, and she is in a special program for special needs. And she will be there until May, and then unfortunately she will age out. So I don't know what we're gonna do in the fall, but right now, she's not doing any extra activities, and so because of that, we're not as busy, but it seems like there's always something to replace what we used to do. So I'm sure others are like that as well. My heat is on. Again, I am downstairs in my basement, and it has this, it's not that loud when I'm down here, but it really picks it up on video, on audio. So I'm trying to talk a little bit louder. I am still in search for a really good microphone. If any of you guys have any ideas, please let me know, any suggestions. I do record off of my iPhone, and I have an iPhone 13. So I have to make sure that, of course, my microphone will work on that particular phone. I have just replaced my wax, so I have fresh wax, and I love how it sounds when it pops. It just is such a reassuring sound for some reason. For some reason, it just is calming, and I just love hearing it. And that sounds kind of weird for some of you that are not, avid diamond painters, and some of you that are, maybe you think, well, this lady's crazy because she likes the popping sound, but it's just so satisfying to me. I don't know why, but it really is. So anyway, today's video, I have another story. Hope you are enjoying my stories and I'm not boring you to tears. But today's story is going to be about my husband and I. And we were both married before. He was not married as long as I was. He was married for a little over a year, and then they got back together 3 months later, and then they were together for another, I think, 6. So I was actually married for 25 years, and we ended up, we made it to the 25th mark, and then we ended up getting a divorce, and I said I would never get married again. I would never, ever, ever remarry. And my mother told me, she said, never say never, because she had said the same thing. And she said, you will eventually, and you should consider it, and not now, I can totally understand, but eventually you're probably going to want to meet somebody, and you're going to want to get married again. So I thought at the time that she was absolutely crazy, but of course, as all moms are, she knew exactly what she was talking about, especially when it came to me. And so I met my husband, and it was really weird because I am a major introvert. I've gotten better since I've been teaching, and I have to teach, you know, in class. And when I teach in class, I become a totally different person because it's like my extrovert comes out. And I don't have a problem with, you know, talking to my class. I don't have a problem, you know, in class or anything like that. But when it comes to socialization, that's where my extrovert just comes out. So I was wondering, you know, how was I going to meet somebody? I don't go to bars. I don't go to a lot of places. At the time I had young kids, and one was special needs, and I thought, this is just, you know, it's going to be the end. I'm not going to ever find anybody. So then I wasn't looking, and so some friends of mine paid for me to be on an online dating site. And I would not have done it had they not have paid. And they knew that. So they paid for this site for 3 months just to see if I liked it. And I did meet a couple of people. I did go out a couple of times, just met them, you know, somewhere at a, you know, restaurant, and in the afternoon. I wasn't gonna do an evening. And then I thought, if this is what dating is like, then forget it. Because I had met my husband, my first husband, I met him when I was in high school. I was 16, and we got married when I just turned 20. So I didn't really date. It was just mainly him. And then I thought, now what? It's been, you know, 25 years that I've been married. It's been 4 years, you know, when we were dating. And so I don't even know what it's like out there. And I thought, if it's like this, then I am definitely not interested. I would rather just be home by myself. And there are some weirdos. And I wouldn't say that online dating is for everybody, because I never ever thought that online dating would be something that I would ever consider. But it was a reputable site, and you have to complete all of these questionnaires and things. And so they match you with others that have similar surveys, these questionnaires. And so the ones that I did get matched with, I got matched quite a bit, I just wasn't interested. And the ones that I did see were just awful. So I ended up just kind of looking around on the site, not doing very much. And then my now husband was on there. He was about to get off of the website because he said that he had been on there for a while. He was meeting a lot of real strange people, strange women, and he said that he was just about done. Well, then my profile popped up, and we just started talking online. We did not give any information to each other. We didn't give phone numbers or anything. So we did that for almost a month. And so then we decided, well, maybe we should just talk, you know, on the phone. So we gave each other our phone numbers, and we talked for almost 6 weeks every night on the phone, at least once, you know, a day. And he would call me when he got off work, and then once I got the kids settled at night and they went to bed, then he would call me, and we would talk for a very long time. And so then we decided, after 2 months of this, that we would meet. We hadn't even met yet. We decided after 2 months we would go ahead and we would meet, and we would see, you know, if we liked each other and if we wanted, you know, to start dating. Well, I really liked that because I felt comfortable, because I had been talking to him and I felt like, you know, I knew him because we've been talking for so much, and that made me feel a lot better. And then we did meet. We met where I used to live, the city where I used to live, so he had to drive a little over an hour to get there. He said he didn't mind. And so we met, and then we decided that we had a late lunch and that we really would like to continue spending some time together that day. And where I lived, there wasn't really that much around. And so we ended up going to the bowling alleys. And I am not a bowler. I do not bowl very well. But then he said, and I thought, well, okay, I can fake bowling. I'll be okay. You know, I know how to bowl. So then he decided to proceed to say, well, instead of bowling, why don't we play pool? Well, I'd never ever played pool, and I did not want to make a complete fool of myself, but I was really interested in him, and I wasn't ready to leave, and so I thought, why not? So of course, I made a complete, total fool of myself. I had no idea what I was doing. Then I finally kind of figured it out after the second game. Well, he was so nervous that he didn't do well. And so I thought, okay, he's playing about as bad as I am, so maybe this is a good thing. So then I called my friend Carrie, who watches all of my videos. So thank you so much, Carrie. And if she's listening, she will remember this, because after we left, he got in his car, he went home, I got in mine, I went home. I called her when I got back to my house, and I said, well, that was a total dud. I will never, ever hear from Dave again. And so she asked why. I was telling her about the debacle of the pool, which it was really bad, y'all. I mean, it was really, really bad. And she said, well, I bet that, he probably won't think twice about it. So she was trying to, pump me up, make me feel better. And by the time that I had gotten off the phone with her, he had gotten home and he had called me. And so he's like, do you want to talk to me? And I'm like, well, why wouldn't I? Well, he thought that I had a really bad time because he was so bad in pool and I was so bad in pool that he thought that I wouldn't be interested in him because that, of what we were doing. And so I thought that was really funny. So I told him the same thing. And so then we talked again for a while, and then my kids came home from visiting their dad. And so I had to get off the phone. But after that, that was in December. So we did not want him to meet my kids, or I didn't want him to, until I knew for sure that we were going to, start really seeing each other, because I didn't want to introduce my kids to somebody and then they would get to know him and then possibly I wouldn't like him or he wouldn't like me and things wouldn't work out. So I wanted to make sure before I even put my kids in that type of situation that, I thought he was on the up and up and that, he was going to, be around. So we did meet, it was before Christmas, because he did come over on Thanksgiving. He had Thanksgiving with his family, and then he came over, and then we had dinner at my house, and my kids weren't there. And then after that, we became closer and closer, and then about 2 weeks before Christmas, I decided I wanted him to meet my kids. I had already told him about Paige, and so I was a little nervous whenever he met her, and he told me later, he said she wasn't, he said she was similar to what you said. He said, but I was really thinking the absolute worst. And he said, she is an amazing kid. And he said, I really do like her. And he said, I can see, a lot of him in her, because he said that, kids made fun of him when he was growing up because he was shorter, he was thin, and they made fun of him. And so he could see, how kids would make fun of Paige because of her disability. So then that really got me thinking. And so on Christmas, the girls and I had our Christmas that morning together. And then we had Dave come over, and Dave had lunch with us. I asked my kids first. I said, is it okay? And so at that point, they really liked him. We had gone a couple of places. He had taken them to see some lights at Lake Lanier. And so they really, liked that. And so we ended up spending Christmas afternoon with Dave. And then we just became closer and closer. And the more that we had talked, our family backgrounds and our life growing up was very similar. And our marriages were similar. We thought, very similarly. And so we really started getting just closer and closer. And so my girl Carrie told me around my birthday, she said, I bet he is going to propose. And this, wasn't very long, so we just started, talking like in September. And then we didn't see each other until November. So it was kind of fast. And I said, you know, I don't think so. I don't know if I'm ready. And she said that, you know, based on how he was talking about my birthday and to get dressed up, he was going to take me to a surprise place. She said, I bet you that he's going to propose. And lo and behold, on my birthday, which is April the 15th, tax day for an accountant, you know, how cool is that? He proposed to me at a restaurant in downtown Atlanta. So I was absolutely shocked. And I guess I shouldn't have been, because, you know, looking back, I'm thinking, yeah, there was a lot of, you know, indications that that was going to happen. So then, of course, I had to call my dad. He hasn't even met my family at that point. And so my dad was talking to him, and they, you know, talked for a long time. My dad was all excited. And so actually he did meet my dad, right, but only one time. We went to Nashville. He went with us. And so he did meet my dad in like March. So that was really cool. And he had already bought the ring, and he knew exactly what size that I wore on my ring, because I had it off one day. I had one of my rings off one day, and I was doing dishes or something, and I had my ring put up. Well, he went, looked at my ring, and he was able to estimate based on something, however he did it, on the size of my ring. And he was right on. I mean, it was the absolute perfect size. So we waited. We were going to wait another 6 months to, 6 months to a year to get married, make, you know, all kinds of changes to what we were going to do, and just, you know, make a lot of decisions. Well, then my lease, I was renting a house, and my lease was up in July. And so we decided, you know, we might as well go ahead and get married instead of him going back and forth all the time on the weekends. And the fact, too, that the kids were going into different schools for the next year. And we thought that might be a really good time for them to, you know, adjust to new schools. And he already had a house. And so we decided that it would be better if we just gave up my rental, and then we moved into his house, which was a good-sized house. He had a above-ground pool. And so we thought, okay, we will be able to, you know, have this nice pool, and we'll be able to, I don't know why I said above ground, it's in-ground pool. So, and both my kids love to swim, and so they were excited about that. They wanted to move away from where we were. They wanted to start a new school. And so we decided that's going to be a really good thing for us. And so that's what we did. And we ended up getting married in June instead of waiting, because we would have been paying double. He'd be paying, you know, for his house, and I would be paying for the rental on my rental home. And then I told him, I said, you know, once school starts, I am not moving the kids. So if I am here when school starts, then I will be here until they go into, you know, another grade. They're not going to start school in the spring. I'm not going to take them out of school. And so that's when we decided we might as well just go ahead and get married. And so we ended up going to the Smoky Mountains, and we got married, and we had one of my really close friends that lives nearby. She went and she brought a good friend of hers. And then my dad and my stepmother and my sister went. And so we had a really nice time. And of course, my girls were part of the wedding, and they still talk about that. And we ended up getting a rent-a-pastor. We didn't know anything about him. I was just doing some research online, and we just did a rent-a-pastor. So whenever we got there and we were actually meeting this rent-a-pastor, he started in and he was saying, you know, walk this way and let's do this and this. And so I thought, we have really messed up, because this guy's crazy. But he turned out to be the perfect pastor. We got married right by a lake, a stream, with the mountains in the background. And so it was really pretty. We didn't want anything, you know, big, because we had already been married before. And, you know, we were both older. I had older kids, and I thought, you know, this is crazy. I'm not going to, you know, spend a lot of money. I don't want to go to a justice of the peace. I didn't want to do that. And so that's when we thought, well, we'll just go and see how this works. So we had an outdoor wedding, and there was provisions. If it rained, they had a little chapel that we could go to. So it was all planned, and it was the best way for us and my family, and everybody enjoyed it. We had dinner together with the family, and so we really had a good time. So we have now been married for 11 years. It will be 12 years in June of 2023. And we have gone back to the mountains several times. We used to go about twice a year. And then we ended up not going, you know, because of the pandemic. And then we had gotten busy doing other things. And then, of course, having 3 pets too, it's kind of costly if you put them in a pet hotel, which is what we like. That way they're not locked up or cooped up. Or we have pet sitters. And the pet sitters work very good for us. And that way there's somebody also at our house. So we do, you know, both. It just really depends. So that is our little story. What I love the most is that how the rent-a-pastor, and his name was Pastor Buddy, and he still sends us emails and things, especially around our anniversary. And what was really special is that he wanted my girls to be a big part of it. And that was very important to me, because I wanted them to feel this wasn't just for me. It was actually, you know, for us. We were going to become a family. And Dave does not have any children, but he and Paige, my youngest, are so close. It is just incredible how close that they are. And I think part of it is that he understands her. Not everybody understands her. And as she's gotten older, she's gotten better. She has matured. But he understands her. He understands the disabilities that she has. He never tries to, you know, tell her what she has to do. He knows what, you know, her limitations are. And he also will try to get her to do more. A lot of times I don't, and so he will push back and he'll say, I think you can do this by yourself, or let's see, you know, what you can do. For instance, she had never carved a pumpkin, and so just last year, he was surprised that that came up, that she has never carved a pumpkin, and he wanted her to carve a pumpkin. And so he got out in the garage and he helped her. And he had gotten a knife where, you know, she couldn't get hurt on it. And he was right there. And so she carved her own pumpkin. And so with me, I probably wouldn't have ever done that, because I would think, no, a knife, you know, that would be dangerous for her. And so he wants her to live out the best life that she possibly can. And he also knows that for the most part, she is always going to be with us until something happens to us, or we just can't, you know, take care of her anymore. And so he was aware of that before we got married, and he said that's fine. So he doesn't have any issues with her living with us. And so he knows that we're never going, you know, to be just the 2 of us. It's always going to be the 3 of us. And so he is perfectly happy with that. And when we go somewhere, he always wants to make sure that if we go anywhere, like on a trip or anything like that, that Paige is going to enjoy the trip as well. If not, then he doesn't, you know, want to go, because he wants her to have fun. Just like on the trip that we are planning, she'll have her own room. She's going to have the whole upstairs will be hers. And so he really watches that. If we go out to eat, we make sure that it's a place that she likes, you know, that she can find something to eat, because she is really picky on certain textures and things. That she loves chicken. So as long as they have chicken tenders, she is happy. So I guess that's definitely a plus. But that's our little story. So So now it is the 3 of us and 2 dogs and a cat. So sometimes it's like a zoo here. Let's see, I'm getting closer on this one. I am really liking number 15. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I think it may be antlers, but I can't tell yet until I finish. Let me know what you guys think that this is. I think it could be antlers. Like deer antlers. And that reminds me, I wasn't even going to mention this because I didn't even really think about it. But last night we were sitting in our dining room. We have 3 huge windows in our dining room. So I had the blinds open. We had the lights on outside. And I glanced and I told my husband, I said, I swear that looks like deer running. And so I got up and I looked, and he said that he had seen about 4 deer that morning that was out just walking around the neighborhood. And in our neighborhood where we first moved to, when we moved here, they had so many deer. Deer would just walk on the sidewalk with people and they wouldn't even flinch. If you would just walk next to them, they would walk with you. If you didn't look at them, if you didn't bother them. So they weren't really scared of people. And cars were very careful there because they knew that there was an overflow of deer. And then we moved here and we hadn't seen any. And we've been here now, it'll be 2 years in July. And so we hadn't really seen any deer. And so all of a sudden, I looked outside and I said, no, there's more than 4. There were 6 deer and they were just out grazing. And they were really pretty. So I was really excited about that because I don't miss the neighborhood where we were because it was starting to go downhill very quickly. But I really miss seeing the deer. That was really cool. They would actually sleep in our backyard past the pool. And so I really like to see them in the morning. I'd go outside on our porch and sit and drink coffee and just watch the deer as they were waking up. So I thought that was really cool. So we might see more deer now that those have come out. But it is that time of year for them to start coming out. So we'll see. But that was really cool. Even though we live in the city, it feels like we're out in the country seeing all these animals. We saw a wild turkey the other day in our yard, and my dogs were not happy. They did not like the wild turkey in our yard at all. And I wasn't exactly crazy about it myself because I didn't know if it would try to attack. I had no idea what it was going to do. And the thing was huge. I think it was just flying and got turned around or something and ended up in our neck of the woods. Okay, I'm going to put you guys on time lapse so you can enjoy a little bit of Christmas music. And once I am finished with this square, I'll be back. Done, and those are antlers here with the 15 in the middle. If you look at 4, here's 4 and then there's 15, you can kind of see that would be where the head would be for the deer. So it's just showing antlers. and not the full body. I think that's really cute. I'm loving how this is coming out. So I'm going to zoom out and see how much you can see. I zoomed the wrong way, of course. Okay, so here's this. I can't get all of it in, but here's what the bottom looks like. And then here is what the top looks like. So I can get most of it in frame together. If I reduced it some, I could probably get more in, but I am really enjoying this. I really like the colors. And so tomorrow we are going to do day 16, and that will also include my small shop haul. I hope that you enjoyed this video and my story about my husband and I and how we met and our wedding. And I hope that you come back tomorrow for day 16 and also throughout this playlist. Thanks so much for taking time to be with me, and click on that like button if you really enjoyed this video. I would really appreciate it. And until tomorrow, happy diamond painting. Bye.